It is Monday, September 20th, 2021. Welcome to CBN NewsWatch Ahead. The first group of migrants seeking asylum under a Texas bridge has arrived back in Haiti. We bring you the latest. Plus, online media giant Google bans pro-life ads.
It applies to any organization who are trying to promote something that's called abortion pill reversal.
One advocate talks about why its actions are causing such great concern. And America's biggest woke corporations. One author says it's a secular religion.
It isn't a religion based on God. It isn't a religion that offers a path to redemption, but it is a secular religion nonetheless.
He shares solutions that will help those fired for not agreeing with its policies. All this and more are next.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin this half hour with this. It's being called the largest expulsion of migrants by the U.S. in decades. This morning, the first group of migrants who were seeking asylum under a Texas bridge has arrived back in Haiti. Adele Hurd is on this story.
The U.S. is flying Haitians camped in a Texas border town back to their homeland and trying to block others from crossing the border from Mexico. Planes left the airport in Del Rio, Texas. On board, some of the estimated 13,000 people, mostly Haitians, who were living in camps underneath this bridge on the border.
We've never seen anything like this. This is completely and totally out of the norm of anything that we've ever seen.
Crowds so massive they could be seen from far away. The Haitian migrants who had already been living in Central and South America before converging on the border do not want to return to their home country, which has been rocked by political violence and natural disasters like the recent earthquake. The White House expects to transfer 3,000 of the migrants away from the bridge by the end of today, saying they'll use a Trump-era health policy which permitted the expulsion of migrants without allowing them to seek asylum.
We have authorities by reason of that special circumstance, and we will exercise those authorities.
The Haitian government does not want them back. The New York Times reports Haiti is asking the U.S. for a humanitarian moratorium on the deportations. But overnight, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas announced 600 more border agents are being sent to Texas to expedite the expulsions. Texas Senator Ted Cruz went to the Del Rio Bridge and tweeted this video of the thousands of Haitians. Border officials are now patrolling the river and stopping migrants from crossing into the U.S., while officials try to prevent a humanitarian disaster under the bridge.
We are bringing additional resources to assist with security, migrant care, transportation, and processing. We are providing food, water, portable toilets, towels. Emergency medical technicians are available for first aid.
Here's a devastating list. COVID, cyclones, an earthquake, followed by a flood. The country of Haiti has been crippled by natural disasters on top of economic and political upheaval. The survivors of these disasters have nowhere to live and no clean water to drink. So who has been bringing relief and going into areas no one else wants to go? Heather Sells brings us the answer.
It's hard to overstate the devastation in Haiti right now. On top of political and economic crises, the August 14th earthquake killed thousands, and it damaged both homes and schools.
This region has been affected by multiple shocks. Economic crisis related to COVID, cyclones, earthquake now. The earthquake that hit left all these people with nothing.
It killed 2,000, injured more than 12,000, and destroyed 53,000 homes. Just 3 days later, Tropical Storm Grace flooded the streets. After all this, hundreds of schools must now be rebuilt or repaired, forcing the government to delay the start of the school year. Operation Blessing spokeswoman Emanuela Del Swan tells CBN News Haitians have no idea when classrooms will open.
Too many schools has been collapsed, so the Ministry of Education has to postpone the re-entry, but everyone is wondering how.
The earthquake struck the southwest part of the country, cutting off access to roads and making the relief effort to remote areas even more difficult. Operation Blessing has targeted those communities.
When we meet with the Ministry of Health, the government, we say we don't mind going where other people doesn't want to go. because we are here to serve the most needy people.
And they are serving by sending food kits, water and filtration systems, along with medical brigades to the hardest to get to areas. In the southern port city of Lakai, Samaritan's Purse also brought in an emergency field hospital.
We brought in a lot of medical relief supplies, the infrastructure we need to operate in this kind of environment where there's little electricity. So we came fully prepared and self-contained.
While the aid is welcome, it's not near enough. Operation Blessing reports that health facilities are overwhelmed. More than 100,000 need clean drinking water, and there's growing risk of disease, such as cholera and malaria. Thousands of families still have no place to sleep after their homes were destroyed. And following the July assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, gang control and violence are on the rise. That is chasing away potential foreign investors, slowing down relief, and destabilizing the country at the very moment it needs to come together. Del Swan says Operation Blessing is trying to help the Haitians regain their hope so that they can begin to rebuild their lives. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Democrats cannot use their $3.5 trillion package bolstering social and climate programs for their plan to give millions of migrants a chance to become citizens. That is the word from the Senate's parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough. The decision means the immigration provisions must be left out of the bill, which has been shielded from Republican filibusters in the Senate. Dozens of non-government organizations are working to help Afghans threatened by the Taliban to escape their country and to provide aid to those in need. Dave Eubank and the Free Burma Rangers are one of those groups. He says they are there to be the hands and feet of Jesus during this dark hour for many in Afghanistan. He also is calling on Christians to continue to pray.
I think unless you're in the Taliban, you're in deathly fear of the Taliban. They are hunting down people right now, trying to get all the names of anyone they perceive as an enemy. People who work with the U.S. government, people who work with other governments, people who work with non-governmental organizations they don't agree with. And many have been executed. I'm not sure the numbers. I've seen recent photos of 30, 40 people. That's just of those that dare send them to us. I don't know the scale of the killings and the arrests, but I believe it's countrywide right now.
Eubank says he is grateful the Taliban have been allowing Americans who can prove their citizenship to process out of the country. Now, you can see the full interview on our website with Dave Eubanks and Chris Mitchell. You can also watch the latest episode of Jerusalem Dateline for more on this story on the CBN News Channel. Dozens of women and children were rescued in recent days from Afghanistan by another NGO. Israel Aid helped to find and get them out of the country. The UK's Telegraph reports they eventually got across the border after 2 days of additional hiding before they could cross. They were then flown out of the region. It's reported those rescued include a singer, 19 members of a cycling team, 3 robotics team members, women's rights advocates, and a number of their relatives. Dr. Anthony Fauci says Americans should wait until they are told they're eligible for a COVID vaccine booster shot before getting one. This is the latest from the coronavirus task force with questions surrounding the process. An FDA panel has been hashing out who should and should not get the vaccine with a mixed vote on it. Fauci says despite some differing views, the booster plan will work.
We wanted to be ready. These are the kinds of things that when you make a decision, you don't snap your finger and it gets rolled out the next day.
Federal health officials say the highest priority is getting the unvaccinated vaccinated. Coming up, pro-life advertising banned from Google and what it could mean for the movement. Stay with us. The online media giant Google recently banned advertising from the pro-life group Live Action. Originally, all of the group's ads were banned, but one was reinstated. The reason behind the ban and Google's policies are of great concern for Live Action founder Lila Rose, and she joins us now with more. So tell us what happened with the initial ban of the ads and what you were told.
Absolutely. And this ban by Google of Live Action's ads doesn't just apply to Live Action. It applies to any organization, including Heartbeat International and other pro-life groups who are trying to promote something that's called abortion pill reversal. Abortion pill reversal is a technology that's been used now for years by hundreds of medical professionals, and it can help save lives of children. It's actually saved over 2,500 lives. The way that it works is there's 2 abortion pills, which abortionists sell to women. The first one is called mifepristone. It kills the unborn baby by blocking progesterone. So what pro-life doctors have done is treated this first abortion pill, if the woman regrets the abortion and wants to reverse it, with FDA-approved progesterone to help that baby actually survive and to ultimately grow and be born. So what's really devastating here is Google has now blocked the promotion of the hotline to women who regret their abortions of this FDA-approved progesterone drug. And now women can be promoted abortion pills too. They get those promotions from Google, but they can't be promoted given the life-saving antidote through advertisements.
Let's take a look at the ad about baby Olivia and then talk about it on the other side.
At 11 weeks, she is playing in the womb, moving her body and exploring her environment. Her taste bud cells have matured by week 12, but are still scattered throughout her mouth. Her mother will first sense Olivia's movements between 14 and 18 weeks, an event called quickening. Beginning at 18 weeks, ultrasounds show speaking movements in her voice box. Around 20 weeks, with a lot of help, babies have survived outside the womb. At 27 weeks, her eyes are responding to light. She can recognize her parents' voices and will even recognize lullabies and stories.
So, Lila, what happened with the story of baby Olivia in the video ad here?
So what you just saw is a beautiful clip from Live Action's one of our latest video releases. It's medically accurate, lifelike animation of human development in the womb. It's been viewed over 10 million times. And we had ads promoting it because it helps save lives for people to see the humanity of the baby in the womb. Google banned that ad as well last Tuesday after coming out publicly about it and admonishing this crazy act of them banning it. Google did reverse it, and now we can advertise the story of baby Olivia. But what is still banned at Live Action by Google from being promoted is anything related to abortion pill reversal, which is this incredibly important technology that has saved 2,500 lives. And any other pro-life content actually that we have in our account has also been banned. So we have man on the street interviews with people sharing their pro-life stories. So right now, the only ad being permitted is baby Olivia, which you just saw. Everything else, including abortion pill reversal information, is banned.
Now, Google said it was simply following the policies because there's questionable medical facts. And you mentioned the whole work of the abortion reversal pill. Tell us about that response.
Mm-hmm. Well, what Google is saying here, I mean, it's not a surprise in the sense that there are pro-abortion groups. So American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, which is very pro-abortion, has said that they disapprove of abortion pill reversal. They don't like it. They don't think it's good. And so they're telling Google, oh, it's not a tested medical technology. Well, there's another association of American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists who say this is an absolutely safe technology. It's been used and saved 2,500 babies. And they have studies that they're conducting right now, and also the body of work they've already done on the technology to show they're using FDA-approved progesterone. So it's not like this brand new drug that they've invented. They're using something that's been on the market and FDA-approved for dozens of years to help healthy pregnancies happen. So it's really, I think, cynical and disingenuous by this pro-abortion group ACOG and by the Google policy team to choose to side with the abortionists. They're not actually siding with any studies or science here. They're really just going off of ACOG lambasting this pro-life resource. And that's why we're fighting back. You know, we're showing, look, we're making the case to Google, listen, there is information out there showing the efficacy of this. It is safe for women. It's life-saving for babies. And Google, why are you making the choice for women? Why are you choosing abortion to be promoted to women, but not the life-saving remedies that can stop an abortion midway if it's a chemical abortion?
So you're making this case. Do you think Google will reinstate your ads as you challenge these decisions?
Well, they did reinstate the baby Olivia ad, and they, in the past, you know, when we've worked behind the scenes with different tech companies that had censorship issues, because many of them lean very pro-abortion. They're quick to, I think, suppress pro-life messages. We have had success in the past. Not always, but there's been some. So I'm hopeful that we can find reasonable leaders at Google who we can work with to show that this is not, unlike with the pro-abortion, hit job that's been done on this, that there's actually no evidence that this is harmful, that actually there's plenty of evidence that this is very helpful. This is an FDA-approved drug. This is not a problem. And I think that, and it actually increases the ability of a woman to have her baby after that first abortion pill has been taken by 68%. So there's actually a study that's been done that shows that. So I think the more we get the research out there and show that case to Google, the more helpful it is. But it is problematic. Bias reigns at many of these tech companies. They can be very far left leaning and unfortunately very pro-abortion. So it's going to be a work in progress.
Always important to hear all sides. Lala Rose with Live Action. Thank you so much for the work you do. We'll continue to follow this story.
Thanks so much.
Still ahead, woke corporate America and the rights of its employees who have different opinions. We've got that story for you when we come back. America's biggest corporations are increasingly adopting an ideology known as wokeness, and it's at the expense of employees and beyond. One author hopes his new book will wake up Americans from this poisonous dream, he calls it. Jennifer Wishon explains.
Wokeness has become so pervasive across America's institutions, from schools to corporations, that Vivek Ramaswamy argues it meets the Supreme Court test for religion.
Wokeness is a secular religion. It isn't a religion based on God. It isn't a religion that offers a path to redemption, but it is a secular religion nonetheless.
In his new book, Woke Inc., Ramaswamy lays out legal solutions for people who've been fired for not ascribing to this religion of wokeness.
When you have a moral vacuum that runs that deep, that's when secular dark religions like wokeness start to fill the void. And as we have seen, the kinds of things that used to fill that void, patriotism, faith, hard work, on the decline or nearly disappearing, that's what allows wokeism to effectively become opium for the American soul.
The son of immigrants, he's a product of Ivy League schools and founder of a biotech company that's developed a FDA-approved drug for prostate cancer. This year, he stepped down as CEO of his company to focus on a cultural cancer he believes is threatening the American dream that allowed him to achieve so much.
In the name of diversity, we have actually sentenced true diversity of thought to execution.
He proposes adding political speech and belief to the list of protected classes, which he says is needed to fight a form of discrimination reaching scary heights.
In my opinion, it is certainly far more rampant than racial discrimination, which we instead obsess over. I think we need to apply those standards even-handedly.
And now, as multinational American companies like Coke, Disney, and Nike impose this new religion, he says foes like China are benefiting at the expense of the United States.
What they've recognized is that American wokeness, they even have a word for it, Baitsu. This is a cultural weakness.
Because he says America's greatest asset on the national stage isn't our military might, it's our moral standing.
They get companies like Disney or Nike or associations like the NBA or celebrities like LeBron James to criticize the United States relentlessly for alleged social injustice. But they do not say a peep in China. In fact, many of them even praise China. And the reason they do it is that is their condition for being allowed to enter the Chinese market.
And he says the hypocrisy is astounding.
One of them is Disney's hypocrisy in particular, saying they could not shoot a film in the state of Georgia if Georgia passed an anti-abortion statute, the equivalent of a heartbeat bill, a couple of years ago. But last year, they shoot Mulan in the Xinjiang province of China, literally ground zero of the Uyghur human rights crisis. And not only do they stay silent, at the end of the film, they actually praise China. They thank the Xinjiang authorities. At the end of the film, in the credits, you can see it today. Those are some of the same authorities that are responsible for enslaving the Uyghurs.
How are these big tech companies using the woke corporate culture to their advantage?
What you're seeing right now, especially in big tech, is big government is now dispatching big tech to do through the back door what it could not directly do under the Constitution, namely to censor political speech and alleged hate speech and misinformation that it did not like to see online.
All while enjoying legal protection from liability. In his book, Ramaswamy argues if tech companies are acting as agents of the state, then they should be bound by the First Amendment of the Constitution. Do you think your immigrant roots make you more sensitive and clear-eyed to this issue that America's facing?
This isn't a country that you inherit. It's a country that you have to play a role in building. And part of the role you play in building it is actually espousing the beliefs that define this country.
And Ramaswamy wants Americans to once again celebrate the values that bind us, like the American dream. He sees more and more Americans waking up from that dream. And once you wake up, you often forget what it was all about. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Coming up, retirement isn't in her vocabulary. We're going to have one centenarian story and an inspirational story to live. Follow us. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You would think by the time you reach 100 years old, you're long past retirement age, but that is not the case for Maine's oldest lobster harvester. At 101, Virginia Oliver has no plans to retire.
I've always done it, so now I might just well keep right on doing it. Well, you're your own boss. I used to be a stitcher, you know, at a pants factory. I like that better.
Nice, and the job is a family affair for Oliver. She first learned the trade from her dad more than 90 years ago. Now during harvest season, she works the traps with her 78-year-old son. The two still use her late husband's boat, which bears her name, Virginia. Now, for your Monday motivation, this is a thought I hope will bless the start of your week. God is always God. Circumstances do not dictate his reign. In the valley, he's God. On the mountain, he is God. It's up to you. You must choose to trust his reign. With that word, be sure to make this a marvelous Monday and have yourself a wonderful week. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We thank you so much for watching. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.